Well, the weather for the whole of the south of England will continue as it has for the next few weeks. It's going to be hot and moist, with temperatures rising steadily as time goes on. There's a chance of steamy moments as we move into the... sod it. We never wanted to do this. We never wanted to be weathermen and women making innuendos about hot atmospheres and drizzly countries. We didn't want to be child-friendly. We didn't want to bang on about being for over 18s only. We want to talk about our sexy adventures. We want to be lifestylers, leaping from bush to bush as we sail down the rivers of British sex clubs and mountains of crazy experiences. The cheeky purple mamba, the liquid silk pumped liberally into our hand, the rodeo classic brief harness complete with Tantus curve, the Enjoy Pure One stainless steel dildo, the hot octopus digit, the ever so short messages on Fab Swingers, the sexy friends on Twitter, and the mighty vanilla alternative. With my best girlie by my side, we'd swing, swing, swing.
Get in the gym or to your car. With our advice you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes. And talk about our sexy dates. It's getting hard for this to rhyme. Just as well, cause it's bed hopping time.
Hello and welcome to the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name's Mr. H.
And I'm Mrs. H.
This is episode 143. Today we've got some fascinating things to talk about.
Okay, we
But
do.
the first thing that we're going to talk about is our Red Hot Party. Now, we announced this on our podcast last week.
Oh my goodness, is it only a week ago?
Well, it was probably about 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
now, but we announced it on our last episode.
Mm.
So we thought we'd tell you a little bit about it, tell you a little bit how sales are going, how many people we got coming, or the amazing group, all the things you'd expect to hear from someone promoting an event,
Okay,
right? So we've got over 100 people at the moment going,
that's huge.
which is a pretty big party so far,
Yeah.
but we want more because
Yeah,
we're greedy.
of course.
So it's going to be a takeover on the 25th of Feb at Penthouse Playrooms.
Yeah.
We've pretty much sold out of single guy tickets.
Just one left.
Well, at the time of recording this,
Yes.
by the time that you log on to the site and have a look, there may be none left.
Exactly.
Unless everyone's decided that they can't go and they've told us and then we've got more tickets to sell.
Yeah.
But at the moment, there is only one single ticket left or one single gent ticket left. There's a few single lady tickets left,
Yeah.
but there's plenty of couples tickets.
Yes.
So, and the reason why we want to talk to you a little bit about it is because we think this is going to be a frigging awesome event.
It's going to be amazing.
So we're taking over the whole club for the night
Yeah.
with the delightful Kate and Daryl from Wanderlust Swingers
We have it until 4 a.m.
until 4 a.m.
Mm.
If we're still awake at 4 a.m., I'd be
You
surprised.
said that's when you do your finest work.
No, that's at 3 a.m.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, normally I'm done and
So for
dusted
that
by...
one golden hour there.
Yeah, there's going to be an absolutely amazing time with me, apparently. I can't guarantee that at all.
okay.
But I think this is a really good event for newbies. And one thing that we've noticed that we've got a lot of new people coming along to this. Some people, it's their first club experience. Some people, it's their first ever experience.
Mm.
And what I will say is that the crowd that we've got going already, and we've already got a chat up and running, as you might expect, have been really welcoming, really helpful. Lots of banter going on. Lots of talk about celebrities today. That's been quite interesting. Who has met
it's
whom?
great.
I was
My
able
goodness.
to retell the telling of me meeting Rolf Harris.
And me meeting David Attenborough.
There we go. It's poles apart.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we've been sharing lots of interesting details about ourselves on the chat. It's been really cool. But what I will say, if you're a newbie and you're thinking about taking your first steps, or you're thinking about branching out and going to a club, or you just want to see Penthouse Playrooms for the first time, this is an amazing event.
Being in very safe hands.
Very, very safe hands. Our track record is fantastic.
Lovely, welcoming group.
Yeah.
Beautiful people. And it's just super fun.
Yeah. Actually, we did some promotion for it this week, and everyone in the group, I say everyone, lots of people in the group posted red hot party tweets throughout the course of the day. And it was amazing. So many inventive, creative people, all looking fantastic. I'm like, wow, this is going to be a pretty good party.
It's going to sizzle.
It's going to sizzle. It's going to be red hot.
It's so much to look forward to after New Year as well.
Yeah, I am definitely going to be in need of some, something to,
Partying.
some partying come February. So I think this is the perfect opportunity for that. So if you do want to come along, check the links that's in the show notes, or check our website, or check the Wanderlust Swingers website, or check our Twitter. Pretty much everywhere
Yeah.
you'll be able to find the
Send
links.
an owl.
Yeah, we don't accept owls. The cat
I
will eat
do.
them.
Wow. Don't you go saying things like that about Noodle? She does not eat owls.
She is a savage killer. If only she was allowed outside.
No, because she might kill owls, according to you.
It's
The only thing she kills in the house is spiders.
and
I
bugs
don't know where she finds them.
in the house.
Yeah, but why are there so many spiders in the house?
It's just a house that's got spiders occasionally. It just happens.
Well,
Anyway,
last week the house had COVID, so there you go.
well, you had COVID.
I had COVID.
We don't know if I had COVID. I probably had COVID.
Yeah.
I didn't go anywhere anyway, so it doesn't really count.
No. And it sucked second time round.
So you've been poorly.
Yeah.
And
COVID.
so we've been dealing with that whilst also exploring the whole FODMAP thing with you
Ugh.
and trying out various different things. So we have found, we've made progress.
Officially, can't eat gluten.
You can't eat gluten. You
Gluten
can't eat
is
onions.
Definitely out.
Onions are bad.
Onions bad.
But red onions, we haven't tried
No, all onions.
all onions. Okay.
Onions bad.
And also chickpeas.
Mm-hmm.
So a falafel onion
Oh
based
my God, don't. That's literally my favourite thing. I love falafel.
might send you over the edge.
Yeah.
So probably not so good for
If you
you.
want to kill me, then just give me a sandwich.
But we have found that garlic works, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, garlic's always worked.
And wine is definitely still
wine
on
is
the
fine,
menu,
and mushrooms are
it's
fine.
really
So,
good, yeah.
I don't know what's next on the list, but we're going to keep working our way through
Yeah.
and see what happens. If it's dairy, I think you might flip a table.
My God, can you imagine life without dairy?
I can
Anyway.
imagine, because that's what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks.
Yes, it's going well. Thanks to everyone who's reached out and reassured me, kind of given me sympathy, or just told me your own stories of success. Things very
Well,
helpful.
I think the good thing is that fact is you're not getting tummy pains as a result of
Yeah.
staying off certain foods. So if it means that you're feeling healthy and feeling better by not having that, then it's a win realistically.
Yeah.
And gluten-free tiger bread's not that bad, right?
Yeah, it's really nice. Quite enjoying it.
New sponsor coming up.
Ah.
So the main thrust of this episode, right?
Yes.
So there's a few parts to this.
Okay.
So firstly, we're going to talk a little bit about, because we went to VA, Vanilla Alternative, and their Halloween event on Saturday night, right?
Not this Saturday, but yeah.
No, on a Saturday night. Because I think they might run a couple of Halloween things. But the Saturday night is the one that we went to with a bunch of friends. And we're going to talk a little bit about our experience, because it was our first ever club Halloween event.
Like the asylum party or something.
Something like that.
Wow.
So we're going to talk a bit about that. We're going to talk a bit about the sexy times.
Huh?
And we've also got some guests, and we've got some recordings from our friends who are going to talk a little bit about that. So we're going to play that at the end. But throughout the course of this, there was also a bit of a hiccup, right? A bit of an issue that popped up.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
And we've always said, it's in our intro, we fuck things up and we make mistakes. So we wanted to share a little thing that happened to us while we went to this night. And rest assured, we had a lovely night and we're all fine. But it was something that we had to stop and talk about. So we thought we'd talk about it on the show, share it with you, and prove definitively that we are not professionals for any amount.
Definitely not immune to the odd bump in the road still.
No, not
and
at all.
emotions still come up from nowhere and get the better of you sometimes. So
Exactly. Let's talk about this event, right?
okay.
So Vanilla Alternative.
Yeah, nice club. Been there
Nice
before,
club.
love
Been
it.
there before. Really recommend it. Especially, it's great for new folks. It's great for experienced folks. It's got a really nice vibe. And they were hosting a Halloween event. So interestingly, it was like the fates line, because we were talking to Secret Stag and Secret Vixen, and they wanted to go.
Shocker.
Well, yeah, I know, right? Wah, wah, wah. Because they practically live here. So we were talking about going and doing a Halloween-y kind of event with them, because I think he in
Yeah.
particular was really keen on the dressing up and doing
And you
something
like
fun.
dressing up
And I
as
like
well.
dressing
You
up.
like a little bit of a costume.
I do like a
theme.
costume. So we were chatting to them, and then Max and Mabel got in touch.
Yeah.
And Mabel, I think, is something like our unofficial PA at this point. So she was sort of running around cajoling people into coming along and letting people know about what was going on.
Well, I
Because
think in the end, quite a few of our familiar faces came along, didn't they?
Well,
and
we
it
had
ended up quite a large party of people that we knew really well.
yeah, that was absolutely the case. And I think part of that was down to her organisation and support on it and putting it out there. One thing was for sure was because we've got a Christmas event coming up and it was on the back of our other event, I really wanted to sort of not have to worry about organising anything.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And I didn't want to make it an official bed hoppers thing, because there's a lot of stress that comes with that. As wonderful as it is, there is organisation, there's maintaining chats, there's all that kind of stuff. And this thing, it was really nice to say, okay, for us, we're just going to go to a place, meet up with some friends, and have a nice chilled out night.
Plus, we're already organising 2 other events at the same time.
That's what I mean. So yeah, there's quite a lot on, and having to produce the podcast and all this other sort of stuff. So we came along to this event, and we travelled up there with our good friends, Secret Stag and Secret Vixen.
Mm-hmm.
And we went and met a bunch of people before the event.
Oh yeah, we hung out, had some food, a couple of drinks.
Yeah, it was really lovely. Met a whole load of people that we've known through prior events and things that we've hosted. It was really lovely to catch up. We were able to have a drink and chill out. And because we were staying, in fact, we were staying, Secret Stag and
site. Yeah,
Secret Vixen was staying on site, and also Max and Mabel were staying on site. We were able to get there and have a bit of a sort of room picnic and a bit of a drink before we all before we got ready.
I do enjoy a room picnic.
Yeah. So while we're there, we were talking about Quality Street, and we found out that the quality streets that you like define your personality.
Well, I can't have any now, can I?
Well, I know. So
that little avenue of fun has been shut down.
For the moment, dairy may be something that you can have, it may not be.
Yeah.
We shall see. But it was really cool just to have that moment of sort of chilled outness before we sort of descended into the madness that was the club. And I think we were really expecting it to be quite busy because it's Halloween. And from every podcast and thing that we've seen and heard and read, it tends to be that Halloween is Swinger Christmas, effectively.
So I think it was showing us really quite busy on their site and ticket sales and stuff. So I knew it was going to be packed.
Yeah, I think so. So one of the things that we decided to do in the run up to this was that we sort of quasi-coordinated our outfits with Secret Stag and Secret Vixen.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, Mrs. H.
So we decided to, I think I themed it grotesque burlesque in my head. That was kind of the theme I wanted to go for, like a gothic-y, corset-y, capes and that kind of black and red vibe. So it was supposed to be sexy, vampy.
I don't think that's what we agreed at all.
Oh, you wanted to go with some kind of...
We all agreed on a chat that we were going to go with like a sort of capes and sort of animal mask, sort of
but
eyes wide shut kind of vibe.
Yeah, but there's going to be like underwear underneath that looks sexy and vampy.
Yeah, but I think you went, fuck the mask. I hate wearing a mask. I'm not doing that. If I have to wear one, it's for a few minutes only.
I'm not a fan of masks. But I went along with it, yeah. But the cape's definitely a thing. We all had a cape.
And we all had a mask to represent us, I suppose. So Secret Stag had a stag mask, and she had a fox mask.
I had
and
a cat.
You had a cat one because you like cats.
And you had a wolf.
I had a wolf because wolves are
Why
cool.
Why not?
Yeah.
But it reminded me in the end of like Little Red Riding Hood.
The
vibes.
wolf one. It did.
Well, no, all of us, because we were wearing these capes
These
with
red
like
capes.
red hoods.
Yeah.
And you were there strolling around like a wolf. And I'm like, okay, I just feel like this is straight out of Little Red Riding Hood.
If you've not seen the picture of us in our outfits, jump onto Twitter, have a look for us, and you'll see a post that we put on there.
We were definitely all black and red.
Black and red. We wore masks for a short period, and also something that you quite liked is that Mabel painted my nails black as well.
Yeah,
which you were quite into.
And Secret Stags.
And Max's. So we all had painted nails as well. So it was all really fun.
It was all very like what we do in the shadows vibes for me. Oh, I think that's kind of where my head was at.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, sexy vampires.
Sexy, weird animal head, cloaked Little Red Riding Hood, burlesque, grotesque vampires.
So
What was really lovely is that when we got downstairs into the club, and we're very familiar with it, there were a whole bunch of people that we know and adore that came along for the night. And it was really cool to catch up with everybody. There were some people that we didn't know were coming along and surprised us.
Yeah.
So Clipbang and Sprite showed up, and that was incredible to see them.
Costumes.
And then we found, well, you'd already arranged in advance.
What?
Something with Slutty Pants, hadn't you?
Oh, yes, I had. Yeah. Okay. So this coincided with the end of Locktober. Okay. So we covered Locktober before, but for those who may not have heard that, October is the 30 days of enforced chastity, where the gentleman is locked up, cock cage.
Yep.
And for the duration of October. So this was obviously at the very, very, very end of October. So Halloween. which meant that Mr. Slutty Pants, who had been locked for the whole of October, was going to be wearing his cage because it's still October. However, Miss Slutty Pants had a number of challenges in mind for various people on the night involving his cage.
Like what?
Involving a series of challenges where he had to find out who had his key. So she gave the key to his cage to a number of different people that night, and they knew who they were in advance. I was one of them. I believe Secret Vixen was one of them. Let's see. Mabel was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a number of us. There was maybe like 7 or 8 involved in advance, and we all agreed to have a little bit of fun at Mr. Slutty Pants' expense, where Miss Slutty Pants would give us the key, but not tell him who had it. And he had to go around and find out who had his key and participate in a challenge to see if they would unlock him.
So it's interesting because whilst I think, you might think that being locked away would be a terrible ordeal, because I certainly do. He was absolutely the centre of attention, was fizzing and popping and loved it. He was loving life.
He was trying to find out who had his key, and the various people who were hiding his key for a period of time would either give him clues if he asked them. I believe the lovely After Hours KP, or is it the other way around, KP After Hours? Either way, she was looking lovely, and she was one of the people participating in one of the key challenges as well. So we all had it at one point, and we were hiding it amongst our persons. But he was loving it.
He was loving life. So at one point, we moved outside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we were outside.
Oh, it's because I think a couple of people were out there getting a bit of fresh air, maybe having a drink out in the smoking shelter. And then people just gravitated outside to chat, I think, more than anything.
And then somehow, and I'm going to point my finger at Secret Stag on this one.
Ooh, throwing him under the bus.
I'm going to throw him under the bus a little bit. And I'm sure that when he hears this, he'll message me and complain and say it absolutely wasn't him. But I'm sure Secret Vixen will also throw him under the bus.
Yeah, probably.
I think somehow he started some sort of kissing circle. And that's the only way I can describe it, because it was just basically everyone just started making out.
Well, once one person started doing it, it then just was quite, I think I'm watching that. I'm going to do that too.
But then there was a lot of chopping and changing in between it all.
Well, yeah, you can't just kiss the same person all night. We're swingers. It's in our nature to swap.
So that,
did you not get the memo?
I didn't get the memo.
You're normally very good at this.
I was very good at that part. I was very, very happy at that point. And things started escalating and, well, what happened?
So outside in this area, there must have been probably around, I want to say 12 or 13 of us.
Probably about that.
From memory. So some of the names I've already mentioned amongst some others. And I think we'll probably mention all the people mentioned in the episode in the show notes at some point. And you might even hear a few of them talking about their experience of the night at the end of a show as well. So, but what was really sexy was it was indeed starting to make out a little bit. And then that would kind of happen for a couple of minutes. And then you'd kind of turn around, and before you could even blink, there was someone else in front of you. And it was just kind of natural, fluid motion of, can I kiss you now? And people were asking and checking in and, making sure it was okay to kiss each other. But it was just all around me.
I think that absolutely set the tone. And a couple of points we disappeared to give people shots in our room. We went back to the room where I did. And
I wondered where you'd gone at one point. And I think it might have been Secret Vixen said, I think he's up in your room. And I think there's some kind of peanut butter whiskey involved.
That sounds like me. So I think people had
So I scurried on up to see what was going on. And lo and behold, there was about 8 people all trudging around the room.
Yeah, well, I didn't
back peanut butter whiskey.
I didn't realise. So I'd only just got the peanut butter whiskey.
Realise
that quite so many people were going to be there. But it was cool because we were able to share the whiskey and everyone was able to try it.
Some Pied Piper, just like, come hither, come to my room. I'm going to ply you with this peanut butter whiskey.
But it was all in really good fun. And then we went back downstairs and then we were all sort of there was a bit more making out and chatting together and sitting
Yeah.
together. It was all sort of escalating, and people were sort of getting more and more frisky. And
There was a really fun challenge I did for Mr. Slutty Pants with his key. I was really enjoying the challenges, and it's not something I've really done a great deal of, but I was actually really, really enjoying them. So I asked him to. He didn't even know if I had the key at this point. He just knew I knew something about it. So I said, well, to earn a clue as to whether I have it or whether someone else has it, you have to go and find someone who's willing to give you their underwear and take it off in front of you in the club and hand it to you. And then you need to come and give it to me. He was like, oh my God, I can do that. I was like, okay, go on then. So, and it took him about 12 minutes. And he was fizzing and popping when he got back. He was like, I've done it. Here. What's the clue? And I said, wow, you got to do another challenge now. He was like, what?
my car is really dirty underneath today.
Wait, no, I got a pressure washer game for that. So
Oh, yeah, apparently so. So as things were sort of heating up, now bearing in mind we had a mixture of people within the group. We had some
Yeah.
people that were quite new.
Yeah,
And hadn't-
new to our particular circle,
Well, certainly
maybe.
new to our circle, but
and-
also new
yeah.
to
a club
big,
night.
well, club meets or big group dynamics.
Mm.
So I was talking about the card game of lifestyle.
Yes.
So I can see you hang your
I
head
didn't
already.
know this.
Well, you were
I
involved in
didn't.
that chat.
I wasn't.
So, and
you
this,
think I was, and I wasn't.
this is where we some of our opinions may differ as we go
I
through
mean,
this.
contrary to popular belief that your voice carries, and it does carry
Oh, it
quite
does
a long
carry
way
quite a
across
way.
many sound waves.
You may hear it, but you don't necessarily
it
listen.
didn't necessarily enter into my circle.
Okay,
and
of
I
course.
didn't hear you talking about this card game.
Okay, so you can swear blind that you didn't. However,
I
I had
will.
mentioned it to you. But anyway, throughout the course of the evening, of course, we've been having a few drinks, so that kind of plays an angle here. And I don't think it was the be all and end all of the situation, but it probably didn't help us
No.
make things run as smoothly as they could have done.
I need to give some context here as well. So before any of this started going on into the card game bit, I was at this point kissing Slutty Pants quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you were too,
Mm-hmm.
actually, now I think about it. So there was some quite intimate sort of making out happening, which was making me feel really quite, yes, this is a really nice way the evening is going.
Yeah.
And I can see where this now needs to move to maybe a more intimate part of the club.
And I think one thing that we've always said between us is that we don't really enjoy playing out in the open so much in BA.
No.
I think we much prefer having a room and bringing people back to our room because it's a bit more intimate and a
Yeah.
bit more private.
And we
Rather-
did have a room on this
Well,
occasion,
and
which is
yes,
great.
we did have a room. So one of the things I was doing while I was talking to people, and including my wife, was
Wait,
around
whose wife? Your wife?
my wife was
Yeah.
talking about the game of lifestyle. And if you've never encountered it before, we've talked about it before, but the game of lifestyle is a card game. You get a conversation starter, but you also get a sort of naughty spin the bottle type thing that sort of is a really good means of starting off sexy times, particularly if you've got a few of you. And
Yeah.
it's a nice way of kind of getting everybody at the same pace and moving things along. And I was so we had a number of people that were fairly new to this sort of thing. And I wanted to be, one of the things that I really like about the game of cards is it lets me be a little bit of a ringmaster and hold the cards and help control the flow. So I was really looking forward to taking people upstairs, showing off the cards, kind of taking things in a nice step and getting some of the people that were a little bit more nervous in a relatively decent space.
Fair enough.
Because we had quite a lot of us going up to the room.
Yeah.
Once it was suggested that we go to the room. And I mean, I think certainly within the room we had, I say off the top of my head, but I've got some notes here. So we had Secret Stag and Secret Vixen.
13 people.
I don't think it was 13. So we had Slutty Pants and Mr. Slutty Pants. We had KP.
Mm-hmm.
We had Penny Lane and Starlord.
Mm-hmm.
We had Mr. and Mrs. N.
Yeah.
And at one point, Clip Bang and Sprite showed up.
And us too.
And us too.
So it's 13.
Is it 13? Okay.
I've been counting on my fingers.
All right. You've been counting on your fingers. Well
The
done.
only way I can do math.
Okay. So we all kind of get into the room
Yes.
and I'm like, I get the cards out and they are all sort of mixed up. So I'm just trying to get through the cards and align them so that we're not jumping straight through to the hardcore ones at the end, which are like, hey, if you're a girl, be DP'd by someone, and while someone's pumping a frog into your nostrils or whatever.
Oh my
not quite that bad, but
that is quite an advanced card.
So on the bed, if you picture this, we had a number of people sat around, and I'm sort of trying to sort this out, and I'm already, we start playing the game. I've literally gone through I have an app, which is the spin the bottle thing. I've put all the names in. I'm like, yay, this is going to be great. And I look up, and literally I find my wife has someone's cock in her mouth.
That's not quite what happened.
Well, that kind of is from my perspective.
I know it's from your perspective.
And it was almost like
that.
I was almost like, well, hang on, what? I didn't realize we were all kind of escalating to that. And it was almost that you went, puh, and looked around at me like as if to say, what?
Okay.
And it's here, I think, where our stories do differ slightly, I suspect.
I think
However,
so.
But
maybe this is where we need some eyewitnesses.
Maybe. But I think there was an element of that. And I was like, well, are we not doing the cards? And you were like, oh, I don't think people want to do the cards. Look around. And half the room was sort of like sat attentively waiting for the card and everything else and ready to sort of play the game. And your half were sort of already sort of stripping and cracking on with it. And I think, so I had a bit of a moment around it because one, I'd kind of gone to the effort of sorting all this out. So I was like, I've sorted the cards out. Not this is a monumental effort, but I've gone in the app, I put all the names in, which was a monumental effort. And I was like, and I talked to everyone about it. So I was looking forward to doing it. And I was looking forward to doing the sort of ring mastery, let's play the game thing. And then I look up and find, well, you're not actually part of that. And in fact, you're sucking somebody off.
Right.
So I got annoyed about that.
Okay.
Because I was like, well, okay, we've got these. So in my head, I thought we were helping people flow into this and transition into that. I didn't realize that you had kind of
transitioned.
You had already transitioned and were well on your way to, the next town. So then you sort of were like, came over to sort of have a chat. And I think at that point, I just threw the cards at you because I was fucked off. Face. Probably.
You flipped them in the air and they all went in my face.
They all went near your face.
In my face.
In and around your face.
Which was which was shocking actually, because it was quite a visceral reaction to something that I hadn't actually seen occurring, if that makes sense. So it was a complete shock to me when that happened. I think I was like, oh my God, I had no idea that this was happening, and now he's throwing cards at my face.
Well, I do beg to differ.
And everyone in the room was like, oh.
I do beg to differ on you not knowing, because we had a conversation about it. Well, on the way up, we had talked about it, and downstairs we talked about it.
So you say this, and I honestly feel like if it was that much of a conversation that should have resonated with me, I should have remembered that. Now, for whatever reason, it didn't land with me. It didn't. I don't recall it. I don't remember that happening. I don't remember any conversation about cards. And if I did, I clearly didn't register. I really didn't. In my head, I was like, oh, we're all going upstairs. Cool. And I was already in the middle of making out with Miss Sweaty Pants, and that was all great. And I kind of just went into the room, and that just carried on. And in my head, I was like, oh, this is really sexy, because one of the things I used to struggle with was how do I get from A to B and not have that whole awkward moment, which is why the card game exists. I get that. And I just completely bypassed the fact that you had this conversation at some point. It just didn't even land with me.
And
it wasn't there for me.
And I think it was a flashback to the previous week or whatever, where you hadn't listened to me again. And I just felt like, oh, great, we're not on the same page again.
I agree we weren't on the same page at all, completely. And I am sorry for that. But I just honestly didn't come to me as I'm going against what he wants. It was, I did what I did because it just seemed like the logical next step to me, and I just didn't even see the card game happening.
But I think the other thing that struck me was that it kind of, in so many situations we've been in, it's kind of, so if I start something, then often you won't be happy about it, and you'll have a triggering moment. Whereas if you start it, I'm supposed to be okay with it sometimes. And it feels like at that point, I was like, well, how is this one rule for one of us and one rule for the other? Wolf, one rule. So I kind of had that moment in there. And I think because we didn't stop, we just had a very quick conversation while we were together.
Yeah, I came over and climbed on the bed next to you and gave you a cuddle and just tried to talk to you, really, because what I didn't want to do is have any kind of argument. And an argument wasn't really necessary, but also I accept that you were not in a great mood, and I was trying to understand what I'd done wrong at that point because I just hadn't really figured it out. But then when you started talking to me, I was like, oh shit, I didn't even see that. I'm so sorry. I just didn't see it.
And I think it was just an element of frustration. I think had I, to a certain extent, absolutely, I should have been reading the room better, but half the room, or it felt like that, was kind of, was with me kind of just sat there prim and proper, ready for the, let's do the game. Let's do the game.
Fair, yes, some of them were on the bed with you, but actually in my head I was like, oh, they're just like on the bed. That means they're chatting and then they're going to do this or whatever. Whereas the other half of the room, and there was quite a number of people around me that were already like, yeah, this is great, this is sexy. And in my head I was like, cool, I know in a minute he's going to come over and we're going to all get involved and it's going to be really sexy because we'd both been playing with like a couple of the same people downstairs together. In my head I was like, that will continue because we had been making out with the same people together downstairs already. No, I think it was in my head just felt like it was logically going to continue.
So I think, we did sort of sit together on the bed. Well, the madness was starting to evolve around us.
Yeah.
And I think we just took a few minutes just to have that conversation. A few people sort of were like, do you want us to go? And we're like, no, it's fine. We're just going to have a quick chat.
Yeah.
And we sorted through it very quickly, I think, in terms of understanding what was going on. But once the sexy times had sort of finished, because we had some really fun sexy times in the room. Don't get me wrong on that.
It didn't stop that from carrying on.
No, it did sort of slow, I think, the progress. Certainly I felt that way for me. And it took me a little while to get back into it. But actually, at the end of it, when people were sort of putting their clothes back on or going downstairs to go to the hot tub, we sat down for sort of 10, 15 minutes to...
Longer than that, I think. We had a really good chat.
To have a chat about this. Because I think for me, when these things happen like this, I get incredibly frustrated. And it does feel sometimes, like I said, that there's one rule for one of us and one rule for another. And I really wanted to sort of talk about that a bit. But interestingly, as we were there, then we had another knock at the door and bless Clipbang came along and was, sat down and listened to what we were saying and was very helpful and just sort of helping us bounce some thoughts around. I don't think we were terrifically angry at each other by that point. I think we'd kind of got through it.
Down,
and indeed, we went on to have a little bit more sexy times as we we
rallied quite a lot
as we left there. But I think that for me, it was just that whole piece of not being able to see what was going on and then kind of going, some people not playing the game, then looking up and you just literally sort of like, and I'm like, oh, great. That's my wife. And it was a struggle for me. It was. And I think, even though we had that very quick conversation, it took a lot longer for me to get into the vibe of the room. And the room was really hot and there were some amazing people in there and it was really fun. And I wouldn't want to take a moment away from that because I'll talk about the sexy times in a minute, but it took me out of it quite significantly. And it took me straight back to that incident we talked about in the last episode, I think. And it just felt like I just wasn't supported. And I think for me, the support bit is, and being on equal footing is really important. So, and that's why I was really keen to talk about it on the show a bit, is just because, sometimes, these little moments, that though they're not massive, they can really...
Oh, they can unravel you really rapidly, you're right. And they become bigger than they need to be sometimes because you then feel like this shouldn't be happening. Why is this happening? And then you feel like there needs to be a reason or there needs to be someone to blame for it because it feels really horrid. I understand that, of course.
I think the tricky bit in particular is that my natural response when I get frustrated is that I want to burn everything. not literally, but I want to I'm
Keep it fire.
yeah, it's and I said to you at the time, I was like, look, I know this is stupid, but I feel like I don't want to do this anymore. That's my natural reaction is like to get rid of it all. I hate it. It's, and I was like, no, we're not doing the podcast anymore. We're not doing any of this. This is ridiculous. Why do I feel like this? Because I live in a whirlwind of emotion when it hits me like that, or constantly anyway. But
you're quite reactive, yeah.
I am, and quite emotional at the best of times. So I kind of had that reaction, and
plus chuck a bit of booze into the fray, which we both had been drinking.
Yeah, and I think
loads actually. We were both okay, but we obviously had a few.
Yeah, it didn't feel like there was enough to sort of for me to say that I was ragingly drunk or anything. But I think there was enough there to probably make me feel less in control of my emotions than I probably would be. So yeah, so it was tricky, but I think our friends certainly gave us space in the room to talk it through while they were getting down to business or sort of exploring each other. And to be fair, we just had a few whispered words more than anything else. And I think we kind of we wanted to play in the situation, but I think we also knew that we'd need to chat post everything going on. What's your take on it all?
So, okay, I agree. We neither of us really read the situation from each other's. Well, I definitely didn't see it from your perspective at the time. No, that's sure. And I wouldn't have actually gone out of my way to do something to hurt you intentionally. And it was purely and simply, I just didn't read the room properly, and I didn't really understand what you had in mind, and I just had missed it somehow. It hadn't really landed with me. I don't know why or how I missed it, but it didn't register. And I think had I seen that or realised that, if I didn't agree, I probably would have said, "Oh, I don't want to play the card game," but I didn't even know that we were playing it. It just completely bypassed me. So, and I can't undo the fact that I didn't see it. I'm so sorry.
The thing is,
I was really sorry at the time because I was genuinely surprised. I was like, oh yeah, he is playing cards. I did not even see that coming. I'm sorry.
Well, and this is where I was frustrated because we had the conversation.
I just don't. No, I can't refer to a conversation I don't remember.
No, I know.
And it's not even like I was drunk. I wasn't. I just maybe, I don't know, because maybe it was loud or maybe because I just wasn't listening properly. I don't know.
It just did your normal zoning out. That's what it was.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
But I honestly, truly did not register that you'd mentioned this card game to me, for whatever reason. And even when I saw it like in my peripheral, I was like, oh, he's showing him cards. Cool. I just didn't even think, oh, I'm supposed to be playing that. It was like, oh, he's showing them the cards. How bizarre. So my perception absolutely was one of bewilderment at first. So I was like, why is he throwing this pack of cards in my face? I'm so confused. Especially
I want to point out that it wasn't like a bundled up pack of cards, like
Gambit.
Yeah, it was just like a few cards. It wasn't like an entire pack together in one unit.
It's like when someone tries to ineptly shuffle a pack of cards and it all goes.
I just tossed it towards you because I was just so like frustrated. Like what the fuck? Yeah, here we are again in this situation.
I was frustrated because I just didn't understand why that was happening.
Were so busy giving somebody head that you were like,
oh my God. That had been happening for literally 10 seconds. I swear. Prior to that, all I'd been doing was standing next to Slutty Pants and making out with her. That is it. I swear. And then I turned round and there was a handsome gentleman behind me. And I was like, oh, cool. This is happening. So it kind of just went, I was like, well, I'm in this sexy room now and all these people are here. So we're all here because we want something cool to happen. It kind of just felt like an easy progression to me. And I was just a bit bewildered why this card game was starting when it was quite clear that we didn't really need it. I was like, we need this. It feels like I'm going back a step.
I understand where you were coming from. And you know, it's difficult to maintain that balance when there's so many different levels of people. I say levels, but people with different experiences in the room.
There was definitely different levels of pace going on. And not only were there people who had played frequently before, and it was like oh, I remember this. This is great.
We can
it's
get
you.
into. I get that. I
and
absolutely
so there
get
was
that.
that familiarity, propelling me into a kind of safe zone of, well, this is cool. We've all played together. We know each other. It's not like you're going to be like, who the hell is that? It felt like, hang on, you were just making out with her 10 minutes ago anyway. So I think it just felt like a mismatched pace and along with miscommunication for me. But I accept in that moment, it's not easy to have that rational thought process behind why is this happening.
It's an interesting one, and I think not to drag it out, because I think, we want to try and get the podcast done in less than 6 hours without going around the houses with it. It really struck me that actually there's some interesting things that we probably need to talk about, is that around when is it okay to start something?
Yeah.
And how are we okay with things? Because often I find if I start something or if I kiss somebody, then you sometimes have a moment where you're not happy about it.
Sometimes.
Now,
doesn't happen all the time.
It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen.
Has happened.
And it's happened more frequently, more recently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard for me to reconcile that when, we have an incident like this, or an incident like the other week where you're like, yeah, I'd fuck you, other woman, or whatever it might be. Or you're there with a cock in your mouth and you're like, oh, this is fine. When I'm there sort of trying to move with a card game. So I think there is something that we probably need to have a look at between us, that we kind of need to make sure that we're on solid ground with it. Otherwise, I think it's only going to lead to other issues down the road. And I don't think it's a massive thing. I think it's probably a conversation that's just making sure we're both okay with stuff.
Okay.
You're right there.
Yeah,
You're
fine.
looking nervous.
No. No, communication's important.
It is important.
Of course it's important. It's the bedrock of all the things we do.
The bedhopper of all things we do.
And if we don't, then you're just second guessing all the way through, and you just don't know what's expected of you.
No, absolutely don't. So, okay, I don't want to drag this on, and I don't want to make listeners feel any more awkward than they already do. I can always go and beat you later. I mean, it's fine.
Oh, wow.
With the sexy stick that you've got.
With my what? A sexy stick?
Yeah. Stick's my penis.
Oh my God.
So let's talk a little bit about the sexy times, because I don't want to dwell on them too much either, because we've got a bunch of people that have sent us recordings that talk a bit about quite a lot of it.
Okay.
So some highlights, please. Highlights.
Okay. One of my highlights, I think, was being in such a sexy room.
Oh yeah.
And I don't say this often enough, but there's nothing quite so exhilarating and intoxicating sometimes to look around and feel that you're part of something resembling a very sexual, heated room of raging pheromones.
Some might say that the siren's call is so strong that you don't even check in with your other.
But when it is going well and it's clear that everyone is on the same page and everyone's having a good time, you do sometimes kind of almost leave your body a bit and look above it all and go, oh my fucking God, I'm in the middle of this. Holy shit, I need more eyes. I need to stop what I'm doing so I can look at it all and just take it in a minute.
Yeah.
Giggly. But you know what I mean? You need to kind of almost sit back for a minute and just observe what's happening, because it's almost like, is this happening? Like, I can't believe I'm involved in this. And I sometimes can't believe I'm so, not lucky, but fortunate to be involved with such sexy people.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. And I'm even more exciting that I'm with someone like you. I was going to say, who doesn't mind this happening. Oh my God, after all this conversation we just had. I'm very fortunate to be married to somebody who also finds it very exciting as a concept, and for us to open a marriage like this. And it's really thrilling. And when it works so well. It's exhilarating. And that's the bit that I find really, really highly sexually charged sometimes. So one of my highlights was, yes, when it was all going really well, was to actually stop for a moment and just observe what was happening around me. And just to see so many people having a good time. And I say a good time, I mean, like, they were being intimate, they were being erotic. It was a beautiful scene. It was really, really sexy to watch.
And
be
probably
part
far too
of.
many people for that tiny room.
I will say the room was not big enough.
The carnage afterwards was
Yeah, it
quite
was
frightening.
carnage.
However,
It was
carry
carnage.
on.
So that was one of my highlights. Just being in that environment is really very exciting and intoxicating sometimes.
Mm.
And I also find that I stop drinking when that's happening. I just need water. I don't want to ruin it by necking down drinks. You know, I'm just kind of like, this is great. I love this. I got to play with some really hot women, which I always love.
Yeah.
I got to see some extremely erotic moments between some bisexual guys playing, which was very, very hot to see. I got to see some people experience some firsts, I think, which I think
we'll hear about in a minute.
I'm not going to steal the thunder there at all, but it was exciting to hear that someone had such a great experience, and it was something of a first in that realm, which is also very exciting that happened. I'm very, very happy that we managed to navigate the bump that we had and it didn't spoil the rest of the evening, and that you did seem to have a really good time.
Right. Honestly, and this is the thing is, I'm not saying that I didn't have a good time.
You're not, but it's
I think
good
there was
that
just
it didn't spoil things.
and I think
we did carry on.
Our ability to talk through it and then spend that time together and make sure that we're okay was really important. Because there were some absolutely, like I say, amazing sights, and I don't want to spoil what people have recorded for us. I was at one point I was on the floor with somebody on top of me. And I was literally, I felt like it was like an action cam where I was, because like there was so much, because I was on the floor and there were people walking around us. So I was like, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of sexy stuff going on, which was...
One of my other highlights I just want to mention was I got to unlock Mr. Slutty Pants.
Oh, yes, you did, didn't you?
I was given the key. Well, I had the key. And when we were in that room finally and everything had settled down and we were all kind of, hey, let's now carry on. I was allowed to unlock him, and that was very exciting because when I was like, "Way, now he's gonna be happy," and he was really excited, and it was really exciting to see like the amount of attention he got and what a buzz he got from that. It was
he was literally living his best life, especially in that room. He was having such a wonderful time. So it ended up being a really sexy room, and then it all sort of died down for a bit, and we had our little conversation. What was really lovely, I think, and one of my highlights was the fact that we were able to go down to the hot tub there, although it was a bit cold.
It was not a hot
tub. It was a lukewarm tub at best, but still Secret Stag put his head under the water, and
you'll get pink eye.
How he's not got pink eye, I'm still, Secret Vixen will say that it's because he cannot physically open his eyes underwater. That's probably because they're gummed together with all the crap that's in there. No, I love the hot tub at VA, but this time it was very much on the cold side, which was a bit unfortunate.
And it made me want to get out, actually. I'll be honest. It was nice sitting in there, I agree. And I do like that little recollection of, you reflect on what's happened, and it almost gets quite sexy again because you're like, oh,
well, it kind of did, because we found the shower was really hot next to the hot tub.
It was significantly hotter.
It was much, much warmer, and then we were joined by Slutty Pants, who was absolutely delightful in the shower, and we may have had a couple of kisses as well while we were in there.
The three of us, that was very exciting.
Yeah, and someone else might have popped in and had a kiss in the shower as well. Might hear about that one.
It was a pretty sexy shower.
Honestly, I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, yay, let's do sexy times again. But it was like the end of the night.
Oh, it was late then.
It was very late at that point.
It's getting really late.
So again, just as when I'm about to do my best work, apparently I can't back that up in any shape or form.
We did get to that golden hour at 3 a.m, didn't we? And you were like,
I was like,
we could do this. I'm like, no, go into bed. And plus the clocks went back.
The clocks went back. So it was like 4 a.m. really. So in the end, we went back up to our room, and we thought we'd check in with Secret Stag and Secret Vixen.
Yeah.
However, someone, and we're not naming any names, was poorly in our room and had drunken too much.
Oh, it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you.
Oh, thank God. No, it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. Someone and their husband were in our room being sick.
Oh, yeah.
And
For
so
a considerable time.
So we sort of tended to that for a bit. Then I went out to see Secret Stag and Secret Vixen. I was like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna say goodnight. We'll both be over. Like some 40 minutes later, when they'd pretty much gone to sleep,
Yeah.
we jumped into bed with them, said goodnight for like 2 minutes. Nothing naughty happened, but it was just a little cuddle
Well, it was
pile.
very late.
And it was very much a good night. And that was pretty much the end of the night. We had a lovely little breakfast the next day.
And we had some sexy times.
And we had some
you
sexy
and I,
times too. We did.
Which was very important to me.
It was very important to me as well. And we caught up with Max and Mabel and Secret Stag and Secret Vixen the next day and had lunch or breakfast, which was really cool, just to have that sort of nice debrief. And I think one of my great loves of this whole lifestyle thing is not just debriefing with your partner. I think it's debriefing with your friends and sharing those stories and finding out like what happened to people, where did they go, what did they do, who did they do, what's the gossip, all that stuff is really wonderful. And I absolutely adore that part of the thing.
Makes you want to do it all over again.
It does, and I think I absolutely would do it all over again with perhaps without the misunderstanding midway through, which obviously caused some bumps in the road.
Just come up to me and yell in my ear, both ears, and go, "Hey, Mrs. H, this is happening now."
I'm going to get you to fucking sign something. Like I'll be like, right, there you go. You got to print your name and your initials here, and print your initials here, and provide me with a voice clip that says, "Yes, I am aware that this is what your plan is," so that I can then throw it back in your face afterwards. And you've not listened to that either.
Yeah, do that.
So I think that's about it from us at the moment. Anything you'd like to add about the evening?
It was a really sexy evening. And I promise I will not repeat any of these things when we get to our February event.
I'm sure you won't. I'm sure we'll have a whole host of other things that we can work through at that point.
It'll be amazing.
It was really lovely seeing everybody that came along that night. And there's too many names to mention, but if you were there, honestly, you really helped make the night special. And it was a special night regardless of the little moments. So thank you for coming along and spending time with us. So we've got 3, I believe, recordings to make.
I believe
to play.
You're correct.
So I'm going to suggest you do your thing and then we'll play them after that.
Good idea.
Do your thing.
Thank you for hopping into our bed.
Hello, we are Mr. and Mrs. M, as original as that is. We've been in the lifestyle for about 4 years now, but we're pretty new to the events and sort of club visiting.
Club scene. We've been enlisted by Mr. and Mrs. H tonight to do a little voice recording of a recent event we went to at VA. Highly uncomfortable for us, but I've had 2 Prosecco's on a Thursday night. We're ready to go, aren't we?
Yeah, so we thought of a few questions to ask each other.
We're going to interview each other.
Yeah, try and keep some sort of structure. So, Mrs. M, how did you feel heading to the club?
We'd been to LB a month before, hadn't we?
Yeah.
With the Bedhoppers and Wanderlust. That was a real eye-opener for us, wasn't it? Because
it was a first club visit, and to go to that one was... Yeah.
We'd only had kind of intimate couple meets, with one couple generally, hadn't we? So we were really interested in going to this club. But VA seemed to be more of our vibe, a little bit more casual. I was really looking forward to it because we've met a lot of people from LB. So.
Oh, yeah, just looking forward to seeing everyone again.
Yeah, and we'd had that Discord going for ages, hadn't we? So we were really excited to go. That being said, I was probably more nervous about that than anything else in my life. We had to stop twice for me to do a wee on the way to VA because I was so nervous. And getting ready in the hotel nearby, it was quite surreal, wasn't it? But I think excited and nervous, they kind of feel the same, don't they? That's what I tell myself when I'm feeling awful. So I think that would sum up how we were feeling. I don't want to spend too much time on that because we've got 10 minutes strictly from Mr. H. So my question to you, what were your impressions of the club once we'd arrived?
I actually really liked it. It's sort of the guy on the door was really friendly, welcomed us in straight away. Girl on reception gave us all the details we wanted. We even got locker number 69, which it was going to be a good night after that.
Yeah, normally when you wink at the number 69 in public, you don't get the reaction you want.
Yeah, you don't get the cheer.
Yeah, she was happy about that for us.
Yeah. But then after that, it was straight into a really, really busy bar. I mean, we turned up 3/4 an hour after opening thinking it'd still be empty, but it was packed. So that was really good. And everyone was dressed up.
There was a skeleton bride and groom holding each other, Halloween style. I remember that because I took a picture of that.
Yeah, the only picture you could take in the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got our drinks and went straight through to the back looking for the rest of the Bedhopper crew and met with a whole room full of people.
Yeah, we were welcomed in pretty quickly, weren't we? So within 2 minutes of walking into this club, feeling a little bit lost puppy-like, thinking, should we get a drink? We got a drink, didn't we?
Yeah.
And in this lounge, all of a sudden, Secret Stag and Secret Vixen, I know, welcomed us in very quickly. And within a minute, we were bejazzling the Schwingers, the lovely gentleman's cock in a cage, his cock cage, for October.
Yeah, I think there were several jokes about you walking into the room and getting on your knees straight away was a very good first impression.
Yeah, that's right. Wherever there's jewels, I'm in. Then I think I managed to persuade someone to do my chest area.
Yeah, there were lots of chest areas being done.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember those vividly. So
this was before I'd listened to a podcast about Locktober, so I was thinking, what's this all about? But, we were pretty interested, weren't we?
Oh, you were, definitely. Yeah.
And we're trying not to say names here. We're a bit novice at this, but the man, Schwinger, such a lovely guy. So fun.
Oh, yeah.
Dressed in red.
I think
looked great.
You melted when you heard the accent, yeah.
Yeah. Won't say any more about that, but yeah, I was 100% in by then. But immediately we felt comfortable, didn't we?
Yeah.
And LB was lovely and it was really elite, but I think VA was more fun, more casual for us personally.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It was a completely different vibe to the place. Not saying that LB was bad, it was just more suitable for us, I think, yeah.
Well, LB was beautiful, wasn't it? But VA, we knew people better.
Yeah, which always helps.
Yeah, I know you said Mr. H came to you straight away to welcome you, didn't he?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, she's good for new people at clubs.
It didn't take long before you went off for a drink. And what did you see when you came back, when everyone was outside?
Yes, sent me off to get some water. Was that what the ploy was? I went to get some water, trying to keep it slow, I came back outside and everyone was kind of congregating in this circle outside. But I left when it was fairly vanilla. We were just having a nice chat.
Yeah.
We don't smoke, but we were out there for some reason enjoying some, I like to say fresh air, but it wasn't that fresh. I came back with water and there was a kissing circle. What I can only describe as a kissing circle.
Only instigated by one person. Everyone seems to agree.
Yeah, and he'll deny it, but it
Mr.
was Secret Stag. Yeah, but I wasn't there for the instigation of this.
Yeah.
I came back and everyone was kissing in this circle. There must have been about, 10 to 15 people.
Yeah, just
Didn't count.
passing around.
Yeah. So immediately, I had 2 drinks in my hand, a bag under my arm, and something else, a mask maybe.
Probably.
I immediately dropped these to the ground, got involved. So there was kissing everywhere, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Who were you kissing?
Couldn't tell you as bad as that is. There was too many amazing ones. That's
Yeah,
right there and
to
then.
try and remember the names, I know Max and Mabel were there, Mr. and Mrs. H, there was Secret Stag and Secret Vixen. There were a lot of people there.
The Swingers.
And the reason we're not saying your names, we don't say it, is because we can't remember your screen name.
Yeah, it's screen names and real names. We've got too used to the real ones now.
But I think, we've made no secret of the fact that I'm really enjoying exploring my bi side right now. So I was really enjoying kissing the women.
That gave you the opportunity to just...
It was great. The different kissing styles of people, really sexy. It kind of got a bit heated up quicker than we imagined, but it was really natural, really organic, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's what was so good about it. Everyone was just so friendly and personable. And, we often hear about Kate on the Wonderlust podcast saying puppy piles and things like that when everyone's just attracted to everyone else, it seems. And it was just really nice that way.
Yeah, it wasn't quite a puppy pile yet.
Oh, yeah. But...
Yeah, we better move on. We're moving on too quick. Right, anyway, let's get to the good bit. So I then went to get into my lingerie.
Yeah,
Me and KP after hours went together and we thought, let's get down. It felt right. It felt the moment was right. We went and got our bodysuits on, some lovely lingerie, came out in heels, fishnets, the like. I came back and we'd come in somehow indoors and all I saw was you laying down on a bed with a few lucky ladies around you. Yeah. And you were just loving life.
How could I not at that point? Yeah.
And within 30 seconds, we were both being invited up to room number 1.
Yes.
And here's where we call it room number 1 diaries. And we've only got precisely 2 minutes, but I'm sure Mr. H won't mind us going over a little bit, will he?
Yeah.
Right, let's go.
Somehow we next ended up there and...
In room number 1?
In room number 1, of course. But what could you say was your main memory from that room?
I couldn't go with the main memory. All I will say is that we went up, not really realising who would be there, you know. Bit of an exclusive invite from Mr. and Mrs. H. Thanks, guys. We were very excited to join you. And Secret Stag, Secret Vixen. We'd been speaking to them a bit in the lead up, haven't we?
Yeah.
Very excited to get to know all of you a little bit more. So we went up, not really knowing what would happen, but we were very open to going with the flow and enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely.
As soon as we got into this room, I remember saying, should we have some music on? And Mr. H was saying, yes, absolutely. Didn't expect DuckTales to feature so heavily in the playlist. But it did. I sang along. We got involved.
Yeah. And don't ever criticise the playlist.
No.
'Cause
Sorry, if we're not invited again, we'll know the reason. So, main memories, I was given a drink of some sort. Don't know what it was. I'd already had a few shots here. But we always make sure we have some water, don't we? We wanted to
try
remember
to.
the event, but I mean, we were on a high, weren't we?
Yeah.
Everyone was kissing, touching, taking their clothes off. It all seemed to happen really fast. didn't it?
Even though it was like 2 hours in the room.
I know, but it
things
was
seemed
absolute-
to fly by.
Yeah, it was an absolute whirlwind. There was how we fit that many people into a double bed room. I don't know. We counted at the maximum 13. Someone shouted
just about
13
that.
at one point, but you know, at that point I had my eyes closed and I was pretty.
Oh yeah, you were being enjoyed by several people.
Let's get to that bit in a minute. Yeah, there were a lot of blowjobs, a lot of kissing, a lot of oral, a lot of, I mean, very sexy memories. I keep getting flashes of it, you know.
Oh yeah.
I know that
I know I was enjoying myself.
I went down on Star-Lord. I was very lucky to have that opportunity. And one main memory for me is the lovely man of the Stringers joining me in that blowjob, and his eyes were so cheeky, so mischievous. And you know, I said to him afterwards, we almost high-fived, but we didn't. It's a really sexy memory. I'm hoping Star-Lord enjoyed that a little bit. I very much enjoyed it. Meanwhile, you were over in the corner. What were you experiencing at that time?
Cool, so much. I think I was getting a blowjob from KP at one point. I even had one half of the Swingers on me. Even Penny Lane.
You were living
Not
your
to
best
mention
life,
a few.
weren't you?
Yes, it was. Really was something else.
And Mrs. H featured a lot there too.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. And I know that all of these things were a real, you know, you've been replaying that a little bit since, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, how could you not?
I checked over at you and you were just loving life. So I got back to business of what I was doing.
Yeah.
I know that I was very lucky to enjoy a Secret Stag a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Lots of touching.
I
And
think-
before I knew it, my main memory is I got prime position on the bed.
Of course.
Yeah.
Normal, classic.
And I know that, you know, I'd had a few kisses with Mr. H, with all of the people in the room. I was really enjoying myself, not gonna lie, because I know Mr. H had a great prime position as well on the bed.
Yeah.
But it seemed within a minute, and I know it wasn't a minute because it must have been over the course of 2 hours, but I was laying across the bed, and my favourite memory of this is that at one point I had more than a couple of people giving me some lovely attention.
Yeah.
I had people going down on me. I had a hot octopus digit. I think that was Mrs. H's.
Yeah, you did kind of swap toys there.
Yeah, we swapped toys. I know that she not stole, but maybe actually I threw my bullet vibrator over to somebody. Somebody shouted, I think it was Swingers, lovely lady.
Yeah.
Someone asked for a toy and I was happy to oblige. So I ripped open my bag and threw over this bullet vibrator, landed in someone's lap. Some scissoring happened with that. Meanwhile, I realised that I would quite like a toy while Secret Stag was enjoying me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think somehow
The whole thing
hot
was
octopus
just-
digit landed in my hand and I was happy to use that.
Yeah. That whole room was crazy. Oh,
yeah.
we were all standing back and enjoying that at one point with all the lights on.
And this was in amongst, it was like musical chairs for sexy times, wasn't it? A knock at the door here and there. I know that Clipbang and Lovely Husband came in at some point.
Yeah.
Then they left. There was like, people were moving around all the time. You know, I could feel people moving around me. The pressure did get to me, I'm not going to lie, because people were watching me. I could feel it boring into my soul.
Yeah.
But that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. I know that Mr. H made a very gallant effort towards the end to get me there.
Well, this was, for us, it was the first proper group environment, and we went
it
from
was not
0
expensive,
to
but-
100 with that.
Yeah,
but
God,
it was amazing.
It was fun going with the flow, wasn't it? And I have to say, Mr. H's noises in my ear were very, very good, very sexy. And that was straight after Secret Stag had, I don't want to kiss and tell too much, but we'd enjoyed some very good times. And it was just all incredibly hot, very much enjoyed. Couldn't quite get there because the pressure, man. But the whole exploring of everybody was just amazing. We loved it, didn't we?
Yeah, 10 out of 10 would do again.
What's your highlight memory?
For me, it would probably be just stepping back. I don't know whether it's halfway through or not, or towards the end or what it was, to take a breath, get a drink, and just standing to the side and looking over everyone in the room in various positions, just enjoying each other and the situation and the sexy times of it all. It was just something else. It was just amazing.
I think it was at that point we thought, what has our life become? We've had experiences. We're fairly secure in this lifestyle, but that was something a little bit different, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. And
we all get on so well. It's such a lovely community of people, and very hot too. And I think one favourite bit for me was the hot tub afterwards. Yeah. We got to have a little bit of a debrief.
And just to relax. It was nice not having to pack up your gear, get dressed and right, see you later. It was really good.
Yeah.
But we're already overrunning. We must finish.
Sorry guys, you can edit the rubbish bits out, but we're very grateful to you for putting on these events, and we absolutely had a blast, didn't we?
Can't wait for the next ones.
We'll be there.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, this is exciting, isn't it? My name's After Hours KP, but you can refer to me as KP. And I have been tasked with leaving a little voice memo for all of you of my version of events from the Halloween evening at the VA. And firstly, what a huge, huge honour this is to have this little task for the Bed Hoppers podcast. And I'm going to do my best because memory is a little bit flaky, not at all because of the peanut whiskey shots that Mr. H was handing out. But no, more so because like a bit of a sensory overload with everything that was going on, which was quite a lot. So let's start with how I ended up in room 1. So I have to take you to Mr. Slutty Pants looking for his key. That's kind of like how the sexy stuff kicked off, and 1 minute I was getting a drink from the bar with the Disneys, and the next minute we come back and Mrs. H is on the bed and Mr. Slutty Pants is trying to find his key. And this is like, the Locktober thing. If you're not too sure what that is about, there is a Bed Hoppers podcast with Wizard and Jester. So it was so amazing to watch. And there's also parts of me, I'm still very new to this. This is only my 3rd club visit. So there's still a little part of me that is like, is this okay to watch? Like, even though people are out doing things publicly, it still feels a little bit, this feels a bit naughty. Should I be watching? Is everyone okay? But anyway, let's just say it got the evening flowing. But then Mr. Slutty Pants, once he'd finished looking for his key, decided to take me on a little club tour because I'd never been before. And on the way, we saw many a sexy thing. And we also came across Miss Clitbang and Mr. Sprite with is it the St. Andrew's Cross? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we left them there having some fun. And on the way back to where we was all standing and things had been happening with Mrs. H, we see Secret Vixen. And she's like, come follow me. We're all in room 1. So I was tagging along with Mr. Slutty Pants, not knowing what I was being taken into. Opened the door of room 1. And there was a lot going on already. There was quite a few bodies on the bed. I do believe that there ended up being 11 of us in one room in the end. Again, a lot to take in. A lot of me thinking, am I allowed to watch this? This is very sexy. Do they need private time? Even though everyone's in the room, but I'm sure that I will get better at that as I get more experienced. But I can tell you what a sight it was to walk in and see Mrs. H, now with Mrs. Slutty Pants, and then Secret Vixen joined, and another couple, Mr. and Mrs. M. Mrs. M was right in there. It was amazing. Gorgeous, gorgeous girls. And just to watch everyone having so much fun with each other. So whilst Mrs. M was being entertained on the bed, I gave Mr. M some attention, shall we say. So on my knees, cock in mouth, of course, let's just get straight to it. So that was a fun way for me to begin my involvement of what went down in room 1. So after that, I seemed to migrate to Mr. Slutty Pants, who'd been unlocked. So, it was a bit of not a free-for-all, but I think Mr. Slutty Pants was very excited to be free. Obviously, it was. So me and Mr. Slutty Pants have actually played together before when we went to London, so at Le Boudoir. So it was nice, familiar territory and lots of kissing. Me on my knees yet again. I seem to spend a lot of time on my knees at these events, which I'm not complaining. But then we was joined by Penny Lane and Star-Lord. They made it into the room too. And although we've known each other in the group chat, and I think we may have briefly said hello at Le Boudoir, we hadn't been formally introduced, as in we hadn't properly spoken at that point. But I was already on my knees with Mr. Slutty Pants. So it was one of those rare occasions where you end up with a cock in your mouth before you've even said hello. And that's kind of how it happened with Star-Lord. I was on my knees, had another cock in my mouth, stood up and introduced myself with a kiss. There was so much going on at this point. There was one point where we turned off all the lights because Mrs. M was receiving a lot of pleasure from Mr. H. Have to think of names and remember who was with who. So a bit of a sensory overload for her, I think. We turned off the lights to try and help with that. And we all helped. We all joined in at this point with pleasuring Mrs. M from head to toe. That was very sexy indeed. And it was nice to lend a hand. Okay, lights back on now. And so me and Mr. Slutty Pants took it to the floor and I was riding away. He then decided to ask Star-Lord to join us. Because previously to this, by the way, when I was on my knees with Mr. Slutty Pants and was introduced to Star-Lord, I actually had 2 cocks in my mouth at one point. I don't know why I always end up with the bi guys, but it's a lot of fun, let me tell you. It's amazing and so incredibly wonderful to see men be free and be themselves and be so affectionate with each other. So I had that in mind with the experience of being with Mr. Slutty Pants and Star-Lord and made sure their cocks was touching, and so it was more about them than me, and somehow ended up with 2 cocks in my mouth, or just the tip I may add. My mouth is not that big, but first time having 2 cocks in my mouth, and it was quite an experience. I recommend if you ever get the opportunity to try that. But after that, I was with Mr. Slutty Pants on the floor, riding him away, and he kind of suggested Star-Lord join in. Now, my mind straight away went to DP, double penetration, which I'm not doing anal in. Well, I say casual. That's not a casual setting, but I don't do anal outside of a relationship. Not that I ever wouldn't. It's just that I never have and haven't felt comfortable yet. But I certainly wasn't doing it in room 1. But I need not have worried because it wasn't anal that Mr. Slutty Pants was referring to. No, not that kind of double penetration. No, I ended up trying DVP, which if you don't know what that is, it's double vaginal penetration. Now, as soon as Mr. Slutty Pants mentioned it, I was on board. I did not know how it was going to happen, but let's give this a go. So I want you to imagine Mr. Slutty Pants is lying on the floor. I'm riding him. I lean forward just a little bit. Star-Lord enters from behind. So it's like one in doggy style, one underneath. I'm in cowgirl position, and I had 2 cocks. I had 2 cocks, and it was oh so amazing. It was the most amazing sexual experience that I think I've ever had. I was so proud of myself. I remember at one point, like, can everyone please look? Because I have cocks inside me right now. So that was my official slut status claim. That's my claim to being a slut now. I'm officially a slut and very proud. So that was kind of like the defining moment of the evening for me. And when I tell you that everywhere you looked, there was bodies everywhere, there was people having fun everywhere. Mr. Slutty Pants then went on to fuck Mrs. H for quite a long time, may I add. It was very entertaining, and it was just a very, very hot room. I do remember at one point as well, I think I was on the floor receiving the 2 cocks, and Star-Lord's wife, Penny Lane, was beside us with Mr. H. It's just like a mind-blowing experience of, I remember someone saying, a friend that I was telling about, like, how did this happen? Like, was his wife there? This was like me taking 2 cocks. Like, yes, everybody's wife was there. Like, Star-Lord's wife put the condom on for him because his hands were too slippy. So, you know, his wife put the condom on for him to double penetrate me. It's so bizarre, and it's so wonderful, and it's so hot. It was such an amazing experience. So I kissed quite a lot of people that night. Definitely kissed Mrs. Slutty Pants, who is, I'm going to tell everyone right now, she's like my big crush, my big girl crush. So that was always a pleasure to kiss Mrs. Slutty Pants. Lots of kisses with Mrs. M. Pretty sure I may have kissed Mrs. H a little. I definitely kissed Secret Stag, which was a nice surprise. And there was another kiss that happened, but I'll tell you that in a bit. So after the events of Room 1, and me gaining my official slut status, we all made our way down to the jacuzzi. And that was such a lovely way to kind of reconnect with each other or ourselves after such an amazing event in Room 1. So there was quite a lot of us in the hot tub just chilling, going over the events, laughing, talking about the weather as we do. If the hot tub was hot or cold, you know. Secret Stag kept dunking himself, pretty sure that he wanted to get pink eye, probably so he could have a week off work or something, I don't know, because he does that in a sex club hot tub. And then when we all got out in the showers, who do I see in the shower but Mr. H? And I'm pretty sure I was met with, oh, it's nice to see you here. And then Mr. H went in for a snog, and I was like, oh, this is happening. Like, I just want to tell you that it's like a celebrity status for me. So I was very flustered. I hope that I didn't ruin the moment. I think I may have, but never mind. I'm fine. The cringe is part of this, you know. But that was my unexpected, very surprised, and like a kiss that I was not expecting. So that was my little giggle moment of the evening. But then I went home, I went back to my hotel, travelled back with Mr. and Mrs. M, so we were able to continue the chat about the whole evening and busk in the eroticness of it all. It was, wow. I hope that I hope I've done it justice. I only had 10 minutes, so I may have gone over that. There was too much going on. I've probably forgotten some bits, but you needed to know about the double vaginal penetration because it was out of this world, and I recommend it. Just make sure you've got lots of lube to hand.
I'm Secret Stag.
And I'm Secret Vixen.
And we were really lucky because we went to the amazing event at VA. What did you think, wife?
Oh, it was so much fun. We had sort of been building up to it for a while because it was obviously Halloween themed. So it was our first themed proper.
I think this was a big one for me because I've always wanted to go to to an event, a lifestyle event where we were all dressed up and everyone looked fantastic.
Everyone really did look fantastic.
It looked amazing. We got there and we had our masks and things on and capes. I think capes should be an essential.
Oh, I'm going to start wearing a cape wherever I go now.
I fully support this.
Having a cape wafting behind you, that I now understand why.
As opposed to a husband wafting behind you, like, oh, there she is. We met amazing people. Before the event actually started, we had a lovely time with the Bedhoppers and the amazing Max and Mabel. And we had a little room picnic, didn't we? And some chats about the evening and a couple of drinks. The famous peanut butter whiskey was out.
It made an outing, it did.
And some chocks and some fun.
We also found that you can judge people based on their choice of Quality Street.
You're a very judgmental person. We ate the Quality Street and...
I think it was actually Mabel who...
Sounds like something she would do.
Started that. But yeah, it was lovely. It was really relaxed and we all got a chance to sit there whilst eating Quality Streets and think about what was going to happen on sort of the evening that was rapidly approaching.
Absolutely. You never know how an evening like that's going to go, but it was just fantastic. All of wonderful friends we've met before, lovely people we were meeting for the first time. When we got downstairs and we saw everyone and we took a few pictures before we went into the venue, all dressed up, and that was wonderful. And then the drinks were flowing, we're having a great time. I seem to remember going out to the outside area and a very large kissing circle.
It was a very big kissing circle. If any of us had COVID, it was definitely spread.
No one had COVID, just throwing that.
We did have COVID, because that would be.
But we definitely had lots of kissing.
We did.
You, particularly, wife.
And you.
I'm not into that sort of thing, probably.
You, I think, were one of the instigators of the whole thing, to be fair.
I'm blaming...
I was standing there aghast, going, what on earth is happening?
Oh, yeah, you looked shocked. You were horrified at the prospect of having to kiss all the beautiful men and women. You were horrified and horrified.
Sure.
It was a lot of fun. But those sorts of moments where you are all together and just, that's what makes a lifestyle so great, having those free moments to just explore that fun dynamic together. It was really great. And again, there were people who are good friends from past events, as well as new people that we're meeting for the first time, or at least interacting with in that way for the first time. And that was wonderful.
It was just a really lovely, relaxed evening. Nothing felt pressured, which was always lovely. I think everything was just naturally flowing with capes wafting behind us whilst we were walking from room to room. No, it was lots and lots of fun. And obviously, after the kissing circle had finished, I think it was then sort of decided that things would...
Lots more plays started happening then around the club. Lots of people were then starting to go off into the small areas, and you saw a few people branching off here and there and playing. And I enjoy that. I love those moments where things start to move on to the next level and you start to be part of it. I mean, as a voyeuristic person, I love those moments when play is happening. And then we ended up upstairs in room 1 with some friends.
Quite a lot of friends.
A lot of friends. A lot of people in that room. How did you enjoy that, wife? Was that all right?
It was lots of fun.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was really good because there were people in there who we had played with before at the Borgie.
Yes.
Which was lovely to sort of reconnect with them because it was our sort of first opportunity since then to actually reconnect in that way. But there were some new faces in the room.
Absolutely.
Which was very enjoyable.
Well, going back to we'll talk about some new faces in a moment. Going back to the Borgie, Mr. and Mrs. Slutty Pants were there. And Mr. Slutty Pants was having a very nice evening, wasn't he? You were enjoying...
Oh, he was loving life.
Wasn't he?
There was us thinking it was going to be such a chore for him.
What was going to be such a chore for him, wife?
Being locked up in a cage. We thought he'd be like, oh, poor old Mr. Slutty Pants. He loved it. He was centre of attention. There were women stroking his cage, doing.
Were you one of those women, wife?
Oh, it was fun. It wasn't the sort of cage that I hadn't seen a cage of this nature. It was really cool. It was like a sort of a see-through, like plastic.
Right, don't get too attached to the cage, wife. We're not going down this road.
No, it wasn't. I wouldn't have called it a cage. It was more like a sheath.
A sheath, a cock sheath.
A cock sheath.
You called it a suit of armour.
Oh, it did, yes. Yeah.
A cock suit of armour. But you were very...
Stand by it.
That was, I must admit, from my standpoint, I loved watching you. Although I don't think it's something I'd be interested in playing with myself, and we've talked about this before. I did enjoy you watching you play with Mr. Slutty Pants. Didn't you have his key at one point as well?
I did. I had a key. It was hidden in my knee-high boot. He couldn't find it. It was great fun, him trying to find it. He did like a full body.
Oh, how awful. You must have hated it.
Wasn't sure. But yeah, it was inside my boot.
Yeah, so once we got back up to the room, in room 1, he was unlocked. I know Mrs. H, I remember she was holding the key and you and Miss Slutty Pants finally released him.
I didn't, because they basically had decided to take the key off of me because they thought I probably would never release him.
Oh, there you go.
I'm inclined to agree. Sorry, Mrs. Slutty Pants.
We loved spending time with some new people in the room. The lovely KP, who I enjoyed getting to know that evening, was very nice. And the beautiful Mr. and Mrs. M. They were there too.
Yeah, it was really. I was just trying to think who else was in the room. I was like, roll call. No, there was lots of lovely, beautiful people
and we
in
were
the room together.
Yeah, and I enjoyed not just the play we were having, which was amazing and lots of fun, but just seeing other people play, and that element was was not something you and I expected to be part of, and seeing that happen really quite enriching and affirming. Seeing KP have wonderful fun with Mr. Slowpants and Star-Lord was great, and seeing all those interactions was amazing.
It was quite nice as well to be in a big group dynamic like that and not feel like the newbies, because I think up until that moment we were still sort of felt quite new to it all, and actually I felt almost like a seasoned
are we dirty sex people now? We're those dirty sex people. That's us. Yeah. You harlot.
You brought me to this.
I did.
But no, it was lots and lots of fun.
And we want to say thank you to Mr. and Mrs. H for sorting out such an amazing night. And we can't wait the next things, the future. I know there's going to be a future play event coming up at Penthouse Playrooms, and I'm excited for that one. It's going to be lots of fun. But I hope whoever was there, it was lovely to see you. And I hope to see you again very, very soon.
Definitely.
Oh, did you think this was the end of the show? But we've not done the joke.
Oh my God, the joke.
We had a joke sent to us. Who sent us the joke? Can we name a name?
I can probably... Maybe.
Maybe.
It was off at Twitter.
Twitter.
Well, I don't know if I should name a name.
Okay.
Because it's a name.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to give the name away in case they're...
Okay.
However, they are a couple and they're on Fab. And also they are a couple who listen to the podcast.
Oh,
and
good.
They really enjoyed the joke segment.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we had one person write in about it.
Shut up, you.
Sure, didn't give me evil nothing.
But, this is going to be a regular thing, so get used to it.
Okay.
Saying.
All
And
right.
this fine person sent me a very, very wonderful joke.
Okay.
Which I'm now going to unleash on you, Mr. H.
Okay.
You're going to love this.
All right, go
Are you
for
ready?
it. All right.
You've got to go along with the joke,
Okay,
right? Don't
all right.
try and sabotage it.
All right.
I know you like. Right, ready?
Yep.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Europe.
Europe who?
That's a bit mean. I'm just trying to tell you a joke.
See what you did there?
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
You
great.
made me say that you're a poo,
Yeah.
which is appropriate for this
No.
episode.
And I said that's really mean.
Why are you the person from The Simpsons?
Huh? Wait, what?
A poo.
Oh, you. No.
Ah.
I'm not falling for your stupid joke. That's a made up joke.
It wasn't even a joke.
Oh.
Just an observation.
Fine. Well, anyway, that joke was amazing. Thank you, dear Twitter person.
Yes, if you'd like to send us a joke, please do.
Yes.
Send
do
it to us on Twitter, on email, through the website. No owls, the cat will eat them, or something like that. Thanks.
Get used to these joke segments. They're brilliant. They're happening.